Welcome to Crones and Coffee with Lori and Kate, a podcast about spirituality. Real, raw, and authentic, and lots of laughs. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning, Lori.
Here we are
We're
again.
Gonna harmonize next time.
So, this is Crones and Coffee, the musical.
Move over, Wicked.
All right, so I want to start this episode with how terrible my morning started. Okay, we got a new puppy. His name is Heimdall. He's 5 months old and 50 pounds already. We just got his DNA back. He's part Great Dane. Okay, anyways. We have just recently allowed him to not sleep in his crate. Most of the time, he actually still chooses to sleep in the crate. So this morning, he sleeps in the crate, and God forbid it's morning time and I start to move in the bed.
Yeah.
That's his cue of it's time to get up. So he jumps on the bed. Now, his foster mom named him Wiggles. There's a reason why his name is Wiggles. He literally flops on you, and all four of his legs are like flopping around. So he's on his back, flopping around, and he just flops like a fish between my husband and I, licking us, flopping.
Oh, he's flopping. So excited.
So I get up. I said, all right, let's go. He gazelles down the hallway. I let him and Floki outside, and they're tearing it up back there. I always make my husband's travel coffee to go for him. I set up his coffee. I let the dogs in. I feed the dogs. I go to the coffee pot. I didn't put the mug under the coffee. So now I'm cleaning.
Oh, I've done that. I've done it.
Cleaning
it
the
goes
coffee everywhere under the frickin'.
Smells so good because you want the coffee, but you can't have the coffee because
leaks down between the counter and the refrigerator. So now I'm cleaning this up. So I remake the coffee correctly this time. I make my coffee. I have the podcast script next to the coffee pot.
The evidence is clear.
All coffee all over the script. I'm like, yeah, I'm batting 1,000
just
today.
Just one of those days. I knew something was up when I showed up before you.
I know. I was the one that was late today. I wasn't late. I was 2 minutes.
Actually, 2 minutes.
2 minutes early.
You're just usually here well before I am.
Kate was here before me, and I was like, dang!
It's okay. I could catch up on all my gossip in the car.
So yeah, anyways, that's the way I started my morning.
It'll be better.
It will be.
It's already.
But do you ever feel like that sets the tone for the day?
Yeah, by the end of it, you're like, I just need to go to bed so this day's over. I've had days like halfway through where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to accept today is going to be a bad day. I'm not going to fight. I'm just going to let it be a crappy day.
Poopy.
Just be like, accept it for all it's worth. Bring it on. I'm also one of those people where I'm like, just bring it on all at once so I can get it over with. Just let me stub my toe, get a flat tire, spill my coffee. The thing I've been looking forward to get canceled, whatever. Just do it all today. So when I wake up tomorrow, I know it's over.
But it's funny how we get into that, like, that sets the tone. Like, the whole day's ruined now. Yep. And I always tell people, when I used to, a health coach women, they would come in and they would say, I screwed up my meal plan today. I had chocolate cake for breakfast.
I cheated.
I think I told this story before, but I said, you had chocolate cake for breakfast, so you have the whole rest of the day, and that's kind of how you have to think about when your day starts.
Don't take it as an excuse to just completely self-annihilate.
Right, because if you dropped your cell phone and you pick it up, it didn't break, right? You just brush it off. Yeah, it's fine. You dropped it, but you don't actually pick it up and say, well, it didn't ruin. I'm going to throw it back on the ground. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you pick it up, you brush it off. You don't leave it there and
your
stop
dog is adorable and like waking up to like a really happy little soul.
Yeah.
Our kitten's like that.
It's like someone's so happy to see you awake.
I love
Imagine that.
He's like, I love you, and I love you. I know. You know what you need when you're in these slums, Lori? You know what you need?
What? What do you need?
A good woman's circle.
Yes, that was a beautiful segue.
Thank you.
Women's circle. That's what we're talking about today.
You just need to go, because sometimes as women, we all know that majority of us ovulate. Majority of us get irritable around those times. And no man on this planet will ever be able to understand the amount of irritability, the amount of, you were fine yesterday, but for some reason today, I woke up and I wanted to set the world on fire. Mm-hmm. And it's probably because of my hormones. It's probably because of something going on. Mm-hmm. But like to look at my husband or like the guy friends in my life, they're just not going to get it. So like having...
And you look at them and say, I hate you.
Sometimes I need to just call my girlfriend or go in a space where it's just women. I know I've done several world music festivals, and they've created spaces which some people may recognize as, they're called red tents. And the red signals, I believe, the menstruation of a woman. Yeah. And these are like tribal experiences where you go in like a yurt or a teepee. And I've never done it. I've walked past them. They kind of freak me out. There's some things going on in there that make me uncomfortable. It's nothing bad. It's just my own personal... Yeah. I mean, I went to one. Okay, here we go. We're going to get real weird. I didn't realize what they were facilitating. And I was like, we're trying to figure out what the women were doing. And they're all just sitting. Okay, they're all just sitting in this teepee. But like from the waist down, there's like a blanket around them as if they're sitting on some kind of pot. And they're actually nude. And they're sitting on a steamed it's like a tea blend.
I've heard of this. And
I forget what it's called, but what they're doing is obviously doing some kind of yoni cleanse.
Yeah.
And I was a little like, okay, I'm gonna go. Like,
I don't want my hoo-ha cleanse.
I'm a little intimidated by the ambiance of the room just kind of like, but appreciative that those things exist specifically for women who experience some kind of sexual trauma in that area, or women who have given birth. It's something that we need to pay attention to and nurture. I'm not necessarily comfortable joining a group of women doing that, but to each his own. Yeah. I know that there's actually a woman in my mill building. She has a room. It's specifically for like massage therapy and healing, but she also offers that service for women. Oh, so her name's Liliana Rivera, and she's very, very in tune with that wisdom and the women that come through. And I don't know how often she's doing it in there. I don't go in and be like, hey, you're doing the thing. You know,
are you cleaning hoo-has?
But to me, on a more personal level, that would be more like if I wanted to try something like that, it would be in that more intimate space, as opposed to like at a festival or like these. Right. But there's something to be said for the gathering of women in a space like that.
Power.
There's a lot of them, and they're all very interesting women. They were all very from the healing realm,
and people that do women's circles, you know that there's one goal in mind. They're all going for healing, connection,
solidarity, support, understanding.
So I have women's circles I host once a month here, and I sell out every time. Yeah. I keep it very intimate, 10 women. I just had one in October. By the time this releases, I'll probably have another one or almost be ready to have the next one.
Do you typically have it the same time every month, or is it different every time?
Yeah, I try to do it at the end of the month, or like, I think it was the 19th, around that 18th to the 20th.
Like the third to fourth week.
Yeah. It's always on a Saturday from 5:30 to 7:30, although this last one I had in October, we were here till like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's the needs of the...
So I mean, are you required to stay all that time? No, but I mean, it's literally a 2-hour event. If it goes over and people need to stay, I don't, 7:30, time to leave, ladies.
Right. You don't have anything going on after, so there's some commingling going on.
Right. But this last one, holy powerful.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them released, cried, connected, hugged. Like, oh my God, it was so powerful. Like, there are no words to describe what transpired, and I can't talk about anything that happened in it because it is very confidential.
Like the personal experiences shared, you don't want to tell people. No. But what, like, so I've never been to a women's circle. What could I expect in those 2 hours? There's not going to be women sitting on pots, right?
No, so, nobody's sitting on pots unless you use the bathroom and you use it privately.
What would my experience be as someone who's first coming?
So when everyone comes in, every women's circle has been themed. So there's a theme with every women's circle. You come in and you choose a spot. I have the room is set up. It's all decorated.
Is there seating, or is it mostly just people standing? Or?
It's seating. So I have I have 8 zero gravity chairs. I keep them in an upright position.
Yeah.
And I do like a half circle. And then I put 2 cushions, like for yoga.
Yep.
Seated position, and I'm in the center of that because I'm facilitating around.
So like I'm actually crescent moon.
Yeah, so it's like a crescent moon, but we make it whole.
Right. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So like the majority of them are out in front of us, and I've got 2 people on the side of me.
Right.
So that creates the 10 people plus myself.
Yeah.
So they pick a spot. I welcome everybody into the circle. I explain that this is a safe, sacred space. What is said here stays here, because part of cultivating this circle, this space, is about creating trust, creating bonds with the other sisters that are in the room. So once everyone shows up, the door gets locked, so no one can interrupt us. I start by introducing myself and a little brief, like, what is a women's circle? Why are we here? We're here to heal. Here's tonight's theme.
So what was last week's theme?
About releasing.
Oh, okay.
Releasing.
Got it.
Burdens
like
that no longer. Yeah. So we. So I have this. It looks like a wand that I made. It's got a clear quartz crystal at the top of it. This is called the talking stick.
Oh, okay.
So I am holding it, and I explain what it is.
Yeah.
Because part of the theme was that we were allowed to speak freely without being interrupted. So anyone that was holding the stick was the one speaking. The rest of us had to practice deep listening.
Right.
Because a lot of times we listen with an intent to reply. So we're not really listening because we're too busy building up the story that we're ready to tell in response to what you're saying.
Right.
So holding the stick, and I had a couple of times remind, like, no.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
You know, like, because this is practice, right?
That's your job, and the people want you to do that.
And know that at any of these women's circles, when I hold the stick to the next person to take, if they don't want to share, they pass the stick to the next person.
Yeah, I'm typically that person.
No explanation. You don't have to explain.
It's usually me.
And I explain all of this before.
Right.
If I have the stick, I'm going to pass it to you on my left because we go clockwise. If you don't want to share, pass it to the next woman.
Right.
So the woman that was sitting next to me actually passed.
Correct. Yep.
By the time it came around again, she asked for it.
Right. Yes.
So every single woman shared.
Yeah.
Every single woman cried.
Yeah.
Every single woman was supported.
Yeah.
And there was trauma on all levels for everyone.
Right.
And they all matter. So that's the message. And these women's circles, it seems to be, there's a core of them that come to every single one. So the bonds are already there. I can see it.
So how long does it take to get through 10 people? Like, how long is this? Like, is there a time?
It's limit? A 2-hour class.
If you're holding the stick, though, like, how long because I did something similar in my community, and I gave people up to, because of the number of people, and it's a completely different vibe. It wasn't this healing vibe. It was a little more administrative, and I was like, look, you get 3 minutes. You know, obviously if someone's getting impassioned, I'm not going to be like, shut up.
Right.
You know?
And that's the same.
Right. But I kept my eye on the clock. I'm like, okay, after 5 minutes, we're starting to like cut into other people's experience. So,
and
so you're able to do that without it feeling.
I am able to do that. And I think.
So how long does it take you to get through the 10? Is it a whole 2 hours, or is there more happening after?
Oh no, there's more happening after that initial sharing, because so the initial sharing. So I welcome everybody. Excuse me. I say, hi, my name is Lori. I'm the owner of Mystic Market. I've been doing this for X number of years. I have 3 kids, 2 grandkids. I live in Milford, New Hampshire with my husband. That's the first part of the circle.
Right.
Just an introduction.
Right.
We're not getting into the nitty-gritty on the first round.
Yeah.
So it's just, hi, I'm Kim, I'm Sue, I'm Bobby Lee. These are not names that are made up. These aren't the people that are here. I'm just making up names. Right. I'm Quasimodo. We just say, hi, I'm married, I have a kid, I'm single, I'm divorced, status, whatever. I'm a nurse, I'm a this, I'm a that, whatever it is. So just to get a little, it's like a 3-sentence bio. Right. Right? We go around the room.
Introduce yourself.
Then I bring them into a quick grounding meditation because I want everyone to be in a good headspace. I want them to be tethered here in the moment. We release, chores,
right?
Stress, outside stressors. We're here now.
Yeah.
Be here. Be tethered to this room, to the space now. I bring them back out of meditation once I feel like we're deep enough into the right mindset. And then I introduce a ritual. So this last one, everyone got a choice to choose between a half moon obsidian necklace or a half moon opalite. And I wrote on top of where I had them on plates, I had a piece of paper with the description of what each one was a representation of. So they got to choose based on what they felt called to. And then we had a whole ritual of everyone had a little bowl of water, and it was the moon water from the last supermoon I had charged. We placed the talisman or the moon in the water. So we spoke what we wanted to release into this talisman, into this piece of jewelry. And then we put it in the water so that elemental water cleansed those burdens from us. Then I had sprigs of plant life that were connected to energies of healing and growth. So we threw that in the water, and that represents growth. So we released, cleansed, and now we're adding growth. Once that was done, we smoked cleansed. I gonged some sound.
Nice.
For sound healing. We removed the piece, wiped it off, and then we consecrated it with the 4 elements. So now this is a magical sacred piece, and it's also a reminder of the hard work that all these ladies did.
It's like the Hecate key I got from the ritual. I wore that to court.
Very similar.
I wore that to the restraining order case I had to go to, just so I felt like I wasn't getting her. I was putting out the restraining order. I'm not a crazy person.
And then we had, at the end of it, we had, I call it a communal bowl. Everyone took their yucky bowl and dumped it in the communal bowl, and I held it up and I said, okay, say bye, bitches. And I flushed it down the toilet. So it was released and taken away from the room, taken away from the ladies.
And then you close the circle at that point?
Well, and then at that point, I'd bring the talking stick back out and ask if anyone wants to share what they released.
Right.
Every single woman did.
Nice.
It did not go in a perfect circle.
Okay.
Someone in the center raised their hand. They wanted to go first. And then someone on my right did, someone on the left, someone back to the right. So it was all over the place with the talking stick. But every woman chose to share what they wanted to release. A lot of crying, a lot of laughing, a lot of healing.
Nice.
At the end, I close with a healing mantra. And then the last 20 to 30 minutes, it's depending.
Like congregate.
It's open floor.
Yeah, that's nice.
And we all stayed till like 10 o'clock at night.
That's great. Well, good for you. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah. And so many of the women after the fact thanked me for having such a beautiful space to be able to do this without judgment. Because some of this stuff that came out, it was like, whoa, like heavy. And I had one person reach out to me after. She said, and I'm not saying this is to replace therapy.
No.
Right? Or medical treatment. I'm
it's
not
a
saying
nice
that
addition.
at all. It is a nice addition. But she said to me, she felt more healed in that 2 hours than years of therapy.
Well, that's because you have more than one is that when you raise the energy, you raise the vibe. You know, something I learned with Kundalini yoga. It's like you're everybody there is adding something. So yeah, even if you don't want to share, you witnessing,
yes,
you observing,
and that was the other huge thing. People were like, "Holy crap! I'm not alone in feeling this way. I'm not crazy feeling this way." Because other women were like, "Oh my God, yeah, me too, me too."
Yeah, right.
You know, and it's crazy the stuff that women go through. Like, I mean, I don't hold a men's group, so I don't know if they have similar
we
things.
might not never know.
We might not never know. Maybe I'll open up a men's group, but I'm certainly not going to facilitate it. I'm going to find someone that's a man that would be willing to do that.
I think that's great because I actually would see that at these festivals. So the festival I would go to is called Unifier. It's kind of kaputs right now, but it was intentional communities. One was called the Heartbeat Collective. This is in Western Massachusetts, where it gets real touchy-feely, real hippy-dippy, crunchy stuff.
Yeah.
And there were women's groups, but there were men groups about... There's workshops about consent.
Need to normalize that.
Yeah, there's workshops about consent. There was workshops about... I believe, I hate this word, but toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
You know, and these men that I met in these circles, I do have to say, were very different.
And not all men are wieners.
No, but there was definitely something to be said for the men in these communities. They were respectful. They were empathetic.
Yeah.
They were sensitive. And my little brain at the time, this was 10 years ago, after living in a conservative area in Maryland where men had guns and didn't cry and were the providers. Here I am now in this festival scene where you got your hoo-ha cleansed over there, but there's also like these big beautiful men building structures and stages for the community, but also talking about their feelings and honoring.
Men need to talk about their feelings.
Yeah, and these men
we need
loved
to make
women.
that normal.
They weren't stupid. They were looking around and being like, "Oh,
but that's where the whole toxic masculinity comes from, because these men have been taught that if you cry, you're a pussy. Yeah. Or if you cry, I'll give you something to cry about. Well, a lot of these men were war veterans. A lot of these men had high pressure jobs, and they were drawn to the feminine nature of nurturing the women, being like, "How are you feeling?" The women actually giving them the space. And I would see men call each other brother and hug each other when they greet. And I remember looking at Aaron and being like, "Are you gay? It's okay if you're gay." I just wasn't used to men being so sensitive that they could not. I could not fathom that they could be sensitive and caring, right, and also really masculine and providers and protectors. I thought you could only have one or the other. You either had like a fruitcake dude that was gay that was sensitive to your needs, or you had like this rough and tumble misogynistic jerk. Yeah, good men do exist. And it's men who are aware and conscious and you having that perspective shows that you had trauma in your life and jaded you about.
Well, that's why when Aaron brought me to these places, that's why he brought me. He said, "You need to come to these healing places where they're." But I was the women's stuff wasn't entirely new to me, but it was refreshing to see men wear colorful clothing and makeup and express themselves and be straight. Yeah. I'm like, what do you mean you're wearing makeup and you're dressed in like this like flowy...
But imagine if we had men and women that were supportive of one another and caring to each other's needs. Like, everyone's like, "Lori, how can you be so..." Like, I always give everyone a chance. Yeah. Right? Until I can't. Yes. How can you just be like that? And I'm like, well, people can hate for no reason. Why can't I like or love for no reason? Why can't we flip that? Like, why does the first go-to feeling have to be like hate or mistrust or anger?
Competition.
It's like
envy
or jealousy. Yeah. Like, why does it always have to be the ugly emotions? Like, why can't we say, hey, I'm going to give this person a chance because they're probably just like me and going through some shit I know nothing about.
We've all been there type of thing.
And that was one of the things that was actually a great reminder for me. Yeah. Because looking at these women, you're like, man, they got the perfect life.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
And then to hear.
Right.
It's like, whoa, see, that's that right there. You have no idea what anyone's going through. Yeah. Ever.
Well, I was telling you about the experience I had last week. I'm not going to say names, but I had a very intense experience with, yeah. I actually might reach out to this woman, encourage her to come to your group, actually, the more we're talking, because you had this experience with your women's group, and I had my own experience in my own studio the same evening, maybe not the same time, but 3 hours of just one woman purging, crying. I told you all about it. Yeah. And it was intense for me, but I also met her in a situation where she didn't realize I could tell something was wrong.
Yeah.
And she was around a very scary individual, and she thought she had everybody duped, but not me. I saw it clear as day, and she was shocked. Yeah. She was flabbergasted. She was sitting in my shop being like, I cannot believe you saw past him and saw me. And I was like, but I know that sense of fear. Yeah. I unfortunately have experienced it.
You unfortunately lived that life.
Yeah, and a lot of us have. And I felt like I was looking at myself. Yeah. And I'm like, are you safe? And her eyes darted back and forth like, no. Yeah. But she had to pretend like everything was okay. Yeah. And so I got her to come to my studio eventually, and she did. Yeah. Did confess. Good, yeah. You know, because she felt incredibly guilty for putting herself in this position of being with someone dangerous. And I was just like, look, you need a woman to see you. There are women who will support you. Absolutely. You know, got her in touch with Massachusetts Women's Services. So if we're on the subject, you know, if it gets real gritty and you do need support, that's a little more that can help you gain traction and getting out of a situation. Bridges.
Yes.
In New Hampshire is
I've donated several items to them.
They help me a lot. In fact, I would love to do an event with you in June where we collaborate and donate to Bridges. Yeah. So I talk to you about that later. Yeah. But it's like we see each other in public. Sometimes it's not at a circle. Sometimes it's at a date night, and you just see a woman in the corner
and you
gotta give her that little peek through the door to be like, hey, you all right? You can, So yeah, the same day you had that, I remember we were talking to each other the next day, and you're like, I just had this woman circle, and I'm like, well, guess what? I just went through too. This is very something in the air. There's something going on this time of year. Women are getting exhausted. Yeah. They're getting tired, and
you feel beat down.
Feel like you're running uphill both ways, and sometimes it just takes a moment to pause. And whether or not you're having a bad day or a good day, actually, if you're having a bad day, go to the women's circle. Yes. Don't make it an excuse to not go. Yeah. Actually, go. Feel the support that you need. You don't have to share. Just feel the support.
Right.
Sometimes you just observe.
And that's the nice thing about the women's circle I hold is I give you the option. You can share or not. No judgment either way.
Right.
But I always talk to Kate. I'm like, oh my God, this women's circle was amazing. Like, I don't disclose anything that happened or names.
I don't know personal things.
I just say, this women's group was so amazing and so powerful and so healing. You got to come to the next one. But I usually end up having them when she's doing her own thing. So, but anyways.
We're both so
because she's got her own shop too. So. She's usually there.
I do say I'm not a big I appreciate women's circles. Yeah. And after going through what I went through, I will always support them. However, I do get uncomfortable sometimes, and that's just my own.
Yeah.
My own. Sometimes I'm getting triggered by what's being said, and
you need them.
I know. Yeah.
It's like with yoga poses. The ones you hate.
Oh yeah.
Are the ones you need the most.
There you go. It's like music theory. The parts I hate about music theory, the ones I probably should be leaning into.
Right.
I do stuff though. I do stuff other places and with other people and facilitate different things, but. I just want other people to know that it's worth your time.
Yeah.
And
I try to make it like very. I mean, it's the cheapest ticket's $15.
That's great
for a 2-hour event. Yeah, and plus you're getting ritual items.
Right. Yeah.
And there are it is a sliding scale in the sense that I offer 4 different options of payment. So it's like $15 to $25.
Yeah.
And a couple in between. You pay what you want, you get the same great experience. Right. I just try to make it affordable for everybody while still trying to make money so that I can keep the studio open so that I can continue to host these types of events. And where I am very limited space, I could fit more than 10 women. We wouldn't be able to use the chairs.
Right.
But I definitely could fit probably 20.
Yeah.
But I don't want to.
The comfort's important.
I want to keep it comfortable, cozy, and intimate. If I find that it's selling out like within an hour of me posting it, then maybe I'll open up another date.
Yeah, there you go.
But at this point, I'm keeping it at 10.
Yeah.
It's nicely filling up in a reasonable time frame. But like right now, I just posted the November one, and 4 tickets have already sold. So
that's great.
Again, if you want to be part of those, I don't recommend waiting.
Right.
And I do have, if you are a no call, no show, no refund.
Oh yeah.
Because again, limited space.
Yeah, you took it from somebody else.
You took that spot from someone else, didn't show up.
No, my workshops are like that.
That's on you. Yeah. I still showed up to do my part. And I'm not saying that to be rude. I get life happens.
Yeah.
But if you call me, I'm reasonable.
Well, yeah, within reason, right? Like if something catastrophic happened or something.
If you call me within a 24-hour period and say, look, I just can't make it, I will refund you. I will. But if you're calling me after the fact,
right?
Like, sorry,
right?
Like that spot, I had a waiting list for this last.
That's what I mean. There's sacred spots. You're kind of
so.
If you're not going to do it, then you need to
right.
make an opportunity for someone else.
If you can't make it, you need to give me a 24-hour notice so I can fill that spot up because
hot ticket.
It is. And I'm not just saying that. Like I had 3 other women that wanted to come that I said, sorry, it's closed. Can't you squeeze one more in? I can't. I'm sorry.
They need to keep doing it.
Because at this point too, I have to buy supplies.
Yes.
So I have to have enough supplies for people. Yeah. So like you can't drop in, with your friend at the last minute either. Like you have to buy a ticket.
There's a lot of prep involved.
Right. There's a lot of, back end stuff that I have to prepare for. So I'm not saying that to be mean or disclude anybody, but it has to be this way in order for it to be an effective, group, especially where there's a ritual involved. I have to make sure I have enough supplies for every woman that comes in. I don't want someone just sitting there doing nothing because they dropped in, again, a limited space. Because I think 10 is a good number because I can give my attention to everybody without being, okay, you need to shut up. I have to go to the next one.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, once you have more than that, it's like the time to actually like talk and get to know is added more and more and more. And
right.
Then, like, honestly, after a while, it's like, okay, we need to progress with this experience. Right. And if you have too many people to attend to, yeah.
Right. And some women are like, they'll say what they need to say in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they're passing the stick. And then the next woman, it's like 20 minutes has gone by because the floodgates have opened. Right. And that's fine. I'm not judging that happens.
Right. No, you just need to facilitate.
But I need to facilitate because some people, for whatever reason, I had one lady that night, the floodgates opened and she had space. And when people are done as a group, we all say, we see you, sister, and we support you.
Yeah.
So when they're done talking, they pass the stick and I kind of give a hand gesture because now they know.
Yeah.
This is what we say. We see you, sister, and we support you. So it just validates that we held space for you, we see you, and you are supported here.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that's I think,
so
women.
What's a good age range if someone wanted to bring their daughter? What how young is too young? What's a good age to start bringing them?
Honestly, I'd say 18 plus because
the content that's
some of the content that's being talked about is pretty heavy. So I would recommend 18 plus at this point.
Okay.
Maybe I'll have one geared towards teens.
Just for teens, that would be kind of nice.
Of course, I have to get parents' consent.
Yeah.
The parents can come too if they want. But then I have to limit it to only 5 teens because then the 5 parents come. But I don't know. We'll see in the future. But it is a very powerful.
Would you ever do
event.
one for when? Have you ever facilitated like a sacred moon ritual, like when girls start getting their periods?
No, I have not done that.
That would be interesting.
That is actually on my list.
Yeah, I've seen them make bracelets. I've had people, women from Pine Hill and High Mowing. They come in my shop and they're looking. I've had them looking for certain natural products that help them learn their cycle that they wear on their wrist, and just to get them excited about becoming, a woman. Yeah, and easing them into that
because it happens. You might as well accept this.
Might be fun to do around Mother's Day.
Yeah, that could be a good one. I'll put it on my list, my to-do list.
Your idea, your vision board.
But my very first woman's circle was healing the sister wound.
Yeah.
Which is why women become catty.
Oh.
Or jealous or envious or like the mean girls. Because at some point in their life, they were wounded by another woman.
Yeah.
So that was my very first women's circle, was healing the sister wound.
That's nice.
So
almost all the people
I might do that one again.
Women. All the people I work with in my profession, it never was on purpose. But I stand back and I look and I'm like, oh wow, like the range. I work at the range. I do a lot of work at the range in Mason, owned by a woman, Nicole Ruggiero. Oh, Lori, Mystic Market, owned by a woman, Nicole Ruggiero. My friend Julie, Permaculture, owned by a woman. My friend Rachel, a booking agent, owned by a woman. I'm just like, okay. Victoria. Yes. I'm just like, holy crap. Every woman.
Powerhouses.
Just like all my friends, all my entrepreneur friends, almost the majority of them,
power women.
All women getting it done, hustling, and I just cannot fathom becoming so petty and jealous. And like, obviously we support each other, we get excited for each other, and like, I have a musician girlfriend who's like a sister to me, and I tell her, I'm like, I'm so jealous of you right now. Like, I just tell her, I'm like, best compliment I can give you. I'm so jealous. But it's from a place of love and like,
not I'm jealous. I hate you.
I feel like a little, like we're sisters though, where I'm like, I get envious. Yeah. But I'm like, but good for her. That means her haters are also getting envious. So I have to let her know how jealous I am. Yeah. Because if your best friend who is rooting for you is still jealous, then your haters.
But it is coming from a place of love, not a place of hate.
I think music for me is where I probably my jealousy shines the most. Yeah. But I've learned now, obviously, after going 40 years on this planet, that you're gonna be, if you can just acknowledge those things and laugh about it with your friends and be like, girl, you're killing it. You know?
And being a people watcher, I see this all the time, especially like, my quote unquote real job is social media marketing. So I'm on social media all the time. So I see all this toxic BS all the time. This guy, I forget his name, and he's so amazing. He's on TikTok. Crap, what's his name? He's a beatboxer. Okay. And that has always fascinated me. Like, how can you do that with your
great
voice?
Yes, I love it.
He's amazing. I see all the haters. Oh, auto-tune and it's like, this dude has no auto-tune.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're sitting there bitching about him using auto-tune. I don't see you up there putting yourself out in front of people trying to beatbox. Shut up.
Yeah, it's just,
sit down, fool.
People are so
like, why can't you just say, "Oh my God, that's amazing"?
Or you could just not say anything.
Or not say anything. There's a concept. Shut your pie hole. I always go off on a tangent, don't I?
Okay.
Shut your pie hole. Just compliment someone. But that right there just shows me the insecurity.
Yeah.
The jealousy, the envy, the hate.
Women are that's why they use words like catty, right? Like there's that movie Mean Girls for a reason, is because men are always talked about how brutish they are and violent and misogynistic. Well, women actually are incredibly mean to each other.
And
I think we that's always been the underlying theme of our culture too, is to recognize that, that movie Mean Girls was a big one. But just this, I worked with a lot of, not a lot, but I had friends that did a lot of modeling and worked with photographers, and there's a lot of trust going on in that world about vulnerabilities and, whether or not you want to just work with women. And, I always was I have my own friends who are trusted photographers who are very good people, but like in the Boston area where it gets real saturated with grimy people in these studios in our communities, and women just getting exploited left and right. I always would get excited when I see like all female photographers in these areas, female models, and then the sexual harassment claims go down, but the drama goes through the roof. Yeah. So it's like, there's got to be this happy medium. And these women's circles are a great way to cultivate that trust and that vulnerability and understanding that we're probably, no one's going to understand each other more than us.
Right. And women back in the day used to gather all the time in circle. They would gather and sew. Yes. And talk. Yes. And cook.
Tupperware.
Take care of babies together.
Remember the Tupperware parties in the 90s?
Yeah. But I'm talking way back.
Right.
Like, they'd gather in circle and...
Well, obviously children, which I'm surprised we haven't touched on, having bearing children as a community, a village, raising your children, those concepts, a tribe of people, the women coming together. And it's not something I've never had children, but I've obviously can appreciate that type of community. It's very important to some mothers, right? That they have that play date, it's the one time they can socialize and watch their kid, and that camaraderie of mothers
groups. It's like you
groups.
get to have an adult conversation.
Yeah, and your kids are running in the grass where they're safe, and you can just go to town and like counsel each other. Yeah. So I hear those are very important to women as well. Yes. The connections they make with other mothers.
I used to do that too, because being a stay-at-home mom, with 3 kids, you crave adult conversation. Yeah. So we would gather once a week. Yeah. My friends from high school, we all had babies at the same time within 9 months of each other. Oh, so it was very convenient that we planned that way. We didn't plan it that way. It just happened.
Yeah.
So we'd gather once a week and we would switch whose house it was at.
That's great.
And we'd have, donuts and coffee.
Yeah. I was doing it this week. Yeah.
We'd just chat while the kids were playing, and every once in a while we'd be like, "Hey, Joshy, get off his head!" And
I remember being a child.
Brandon, stop eating rocks!
And my mother having girlfriends and hanging out with their kids and stuff. So.
Yeah. So women's circles are important. They are so important and so needed in today's crazy, chaotic world, because there is let's be honest, there is so much negative around us everywhere.
A constant self-doubt. Am I good enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I smart enough? Am I independent enough? Am I traditional enough?
Everybody seems so... I don't even know. And this goes for men too. Everyone seems so on edge, ready to snap at any minute.
Well, it is because of this common theme right now of the election. And we're recording this still before the election. Yeah. Right on the cusp. So there's a lot of tension. And so as a first woman president, obviously, potentially.
Potential.
Right? Potentially.
Allegedly.
Potentially. Whatever, there's an opportunity here for a woman to come into power, to be one of them. That's a big deal.
What is the man called?
What do you mean?
Because it's the first lady. When
what's her husband? Do you want to know what her husband?
Is it the first man?
The first gentleman.
Oh, first gentleman. Okay.
Yeah. So this, it's not the first time a woman has run, but we are looking at a possibility of the leader of the free world being someone who has reproductive organs.
Right.
However you feel about that, it still causes... we've never had a female president yet. Right. And we haven't. Right. So it's like when that day comes, I don't know if I'll see it. We've come very close in my lifetime. Yeah. And whether or not I like the candidate or not, I am downright curious and excited to see that in my lifetime. I'm really hoping we do.
Me too.
It wasn't last time. It may or may not be this time, but I have a feeling it will happen before I leave this earth, and it would be really cool to see her.
I should have run for president because I'd go in there and I'd be like, all you bitches are fired. We need new blood all around.
I'll be VP.
Bye, bitches.
Should I be Speaker of the House or VP, or what is it, press secretary?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that might be it. Well, didn't you and I, when we were talking about our women's experiences, yours with your circle and the woman in my shop, we actually looked up what was going on astrologically. And
yes.
You didn't get too deep in it, but you had looked it up and you saw it was like Kali.
Yeah, Kali, Hecate, Lilith. There's like the dark feminine energy was happening.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very.
We were curious.
Coincidental.
Yes.
If that like those things were all happening at the same time.
Mm.
So, yeah, I actually didn't dive deeper into that, and I wish I had, but maybe I will after this now that it's been brought back up. I found that very interesting that there was a lot of like
and here we got a
energy.
female candidate.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So interesting.
That's interesting.
We'll see.
Well, good for us though. Let's just say that we got to a point. Our sisters who liberated us years ago. Thank you, because we get to have this conversation in 2024 about whether or not we want this female entity to be our leader. Congratulations, everybody.
Well, and I think back to like I can't remember. I think it was like 1970 was the first year a woman could have her own credit card.
Yeah. Right.
How
it hasn't been
crazy is
that
that?
long. I mean, yeah, because like I grew up in the 90s, you grew up in like the 80s. It's like I remember growing up in the 90s and my dad and my mother explaining to me how I'm probably the most liberated generation.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's my fear.
Right.
Like my granddaughter is going to have less rights than I did.
Right. So when we talk about this,
less rights than my grandmother.
We talk about this tension in the air.
Yeah.
We talk about this, and I have to say wholeheartedly, the majority of men feel the same way we do. When you look at the polls, they actually want to support us in this.
Yes.
The majority of men do want to support this. Why wouldn't they?
Right.
Like, if they don't want to support this, there's usually some spiritual component, which I respect. I totally respect people's spiritual beliefs in this regard. But we are a country that's not supposed to be impacted by that.
Right. The spiritual component should never be mixed with government.
Exactly.
Component.
Right. But so therefore, the majority of men who aren't part of that spiritual component do support our right to choose. Right. Most men I talk to like that. Forgot, even conservative men.
I forgot what state it was now, but they're like, it's a mandatory thing to hang up the 10 Commandments or bring religion or something. It was one of the southern.
Don't worry, the Satanic Temple will show
states,
up. They always follow.
But I'm like, okay, so you're cool with Wiccan and other religions like Hindu and all those. Well, no,
the Satanic Temple will show up. That's what they do. They do. They actually are fighting that case.
Leave religion out of everything. If you want to be religious, do it on your own time.
Right.
That's a very personal journey.
Yes.
And not everyone needs to have the same journey.
So that is probably why I'm feeling that tension.
Yeah.
And like I said, not all men are bad.
But again, but I've said it many times, and I'm sure that I'm a people observer.
Yeah.
But we were at the grocery store, and the woman in front of us, I don't know, she didn't look happy.
Yeah.
Her whole essence was grouchy.
Yeah.
She was done being checked out at the grocery line. Her receipt didn't print because it got jammed or some technical thing happened. Not the cashier's fault.
Yeah, she lose it.
So she says, "Did you want your receipt because it didn't print?" And the woman's like, "Well, yeah, I want my receipt." Like, who keeps their grocery receipt? Come on, really? Anyways, she said, "Okay, well, I have to try to fix this. If you want to get the receipt, go to the service desk. They'll print something out for you." She then says, "Why do I have to be inconvenienced by going up to the service desk?
It's unfortunate.
Why don't you go up to the service desk?" Service desk was 2 feet away.
Right.
And
she probably had a line of people.
And she goes, "And I want to see your manager." Now we're behind them. So I try really hard to show compassion, to show understanding. But man.
What'd you do?
Really?
Did you do anything or did you just observe?
Now, no, I was very passive aggressive.
Your face. Sorry.
And I said, and I feel bad. I said it after, but I was angry because I could see this poor cashier.
Yeah.
Probably making minimum wage.
Right.
All disheveled because there's a line.
Right.
standing there waiting for the manager.
Yeah. Sounds like she needs a woman's circle.
And my husband is there too. And he looks at the cashier and he goes, "Good luck with that one." Now, my husband doesn't say anything. He's Mr. Quiet Pants. Yeah. So for him to acknowledge that this craziness was happening over a grocery receipt. Like, this is the stuff I'm talking about, people. We got to take care of that before we leave the house because we're all there are people right now with no homes. I know. Because of crazy weather. Yeah. There are people that are looking for their loved ones, their pets, family members, devastation. And you're worried about an effing receipt for your Twinkies? Which you don't need. Like, this is the stuff. You're going to get your card and just hand it to women. This is the stuff that I have to work on myself because it makes me so angry, Kate. Yeah. That kind of attitude makes me so mad. Yeah, well, it's just unnecessary. It's like I want to shake them and be like, "What? You're probably the one that bought 8,000 things of toilet paper during COVID. People like you." Oh, Laura, you need a woman's circle. I do. You need to go to your own. Would you? I mean, that's a fair question. I'm facilitating it. Right. So when you're facilitating, I share as well. Yes. But would you be curious to do your own a woman's circle, like unaffiliated with your business, like as a patron yourself? I've done that. Yeah, I've done them. And do you find that it helps refill your battery a little and give you? Oh, absolutely. That way you can just focus on you instead of focusing on everybody else. That's good. Yeah, I share a little in the beginning because it helps to open the gateway for others to feel comfortable to share. Right. But it's for them. Right. That's what I mean. But you need to take care of you sometimes. Yeah. And I do. I do. But yeah, the women's groups are very powerful. That woman definitely should come to a women's circle because after I calmed down from my own trigger, whatever that is, I still don't know why I get so triggered from people like that. Well, you're defensive of who she's zeroed in on. I think that might be, especially if it's a young kid or something. It was a young girl. Yeah. It literally was a machine error. It's not like she was being a brat or anything. It's not like the receipt printed and she ripped it up and lit it on fire and said, "Ha-ha, you can't have your receipt." It was out of her control. It was out of her control. She didn't try to upset you by making the machine not print your stupid grocery receipt out. And what are you really going to do with that receipt? You're going to crumple it up and throw it in your purse, and it's going to be lost in the depth of your purse forever. Right. Until you eventually clean your purse out and find it, and the print's gone because it's so old now. You have no idea what this piece of paper. Oh, it's a piece of scrap paper now. I'm going to write. I really showed her. I showed that cashier. But not only did you upset the cashier, made everybody's eyes roll. You made everyone in line roll their eyes. Right. Also get upset. Right. You probably upset the manager because now the manager's going to deal with some crazy lady about a receipt. Waste of energy. It is. There's so much bigger things to be upset about. Use that energy to do something good in the world. I think that's what I get so frustrated about. When I'm feeling poopy, I'll go online and leave good reviews, or I will do that. I will because it works. I do feel better, and then sometimes I forget I've done it, and I get a text message from someone be like, "Oh my God, thank you!" And I'm like, "Oh, I forgot I did that." Wow. Use your power for good, people. Yeah, I've definitely had some. And stop making me call you out in public. You read those moments where you're just so burnt out and you actually feel super irritable and you feel like if you go out in public, people are going to trigger you. But then when it happens, you actually do the reverse. I've done that where I've gone out like Eeyore, where I'm like, "Woe is me. The world is horrible. I hate the world. And anybody who passes me or cuts me off is a jerk and I hate everybody." Right. And then I'll see someone having a worse day than me. Yeah. And all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe I..." Puts it in perspective. Maybe I'll pay for their coffee or open the door or tell them they look nice today because I was feeling just like that, but they look like they're doing worse. So maybe I can help both of us. Yeah. And every once in a while I can get there. I don't get there as often as I get irritable. Unfortunately, I'm still working on that. But. Yeah. That's I think I talked about this one time too. about niceness and kindness.
Yeah.
So niceness is you open the door, you say good morning, person just walks in, doesn't acknowledge you, and you get mad. So you were nice because you wanted to do it for yourself.
Well, yes, there's that too.
Kindness is you open the door, you say good morning, they ignore you and walk in.
Right.
But you go about your day because you did it because you wanted to.
Well, that's worth noting too, because like you don't want to selfishly just be handing out compliments, crossing your fingers that. Do you know what I mean? Like
I didn't hold the door open expecting anything in return.
Right.
I did it because I wanted to do something nice.
Correct. Yes.
Kind. I wanted
so
to do
Canadian
something.
of you. When I moved down south, everybody thought I was from Canada because I was so polite. And plus, I probably live far enough north that I picked up on some of the, the Canadian. So yeah, I would move down there and I'd like open the door for people. I'm like, I thought this was a Southern hospitality. It doesn't exist in Maryland. Okay, you got to go further south for the Southern hospitality. There's this weird window between space between the South and the North where people are just jerks to each other. But if you go far enough north, we're nice, and if you go far enough south, we're nice. But there's weird like Connecticut maybe. Yeah, full of jerks. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. What is
joking?
I just know Canadians are known for their politeness. They're just so polite, you know.
I think of Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Yeah.
Are you old enough for that?
Mm-mm. Well, I don't know. Give me some context. Maybe I don't know the names.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me beer. I think there's supposed to be more of that. No.
Oh my God, we should have talked about that.
On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtlenecks and a beer. Hey, Doug, I think there's supposed to be more to that. No, go, hoser. It's your turn.
Oh wow, have you heard
Bob and Doug McKenzie?
Have you heard of the 12
myself.
The 12 drinks of Christmas?
Mm-mm.
It's this woman who did lounge music, and she would sing the 12 days of Christmas, but she would get drunk further into the song. So, but it's all the 12 drinks. And so, by the time she gets to like 6, she's like hammered, and I'll have to send it to you. It's adorable.
But it's this, you'll have, look, Bob and Doug McKenzie. 5 golden toques, 4 pounds of back bacon, 3 French toast, 2 turtlenecks, and a beer. I totally dated myself. If anyone knows what I'm talking about,
let us know in the comments.
Support me, please.
support a sister. Well, I think we almost stayed entirely on subject. There's only a few times we didn't.
I think so. We did pretty good.
This was a good circle. I mean, a good one. A good talk about a circle. The circle.
Good, yeah.
Definitely. I think people need to know you're facilitating them.
Yeah. And again, don't wait to get your ticket because they do sell out quick. I think I have the next 4 scheduled.
Oh wow! So basically the rest of the year.
Yeah, and then some. I think I scheduled it until February, but it is once a month.
Yeah, I'd be interested to collaborate with you in June. June is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and purple is the color for domestic violence. And I actually named my mandala for June, I am strong.
Nice.
And I created the mantra specifically for women who are going through some form of domestic violence, and I donated that mandala. If you go into the Bridges, one of their shelters in Nashua has one of our purple mandalas in it. So I'd like to do something intentional with you, maybe with your women's group, and see if we can raise some money for Bridges or do a drive or something.
I donated a raffle to them for a 1-hour vibroacoustic.
Was it their dinner therapy that they do? Because that's what my mandala, I donated it. Someone bought it and then gave it to the shelter.
It was specific to healing trauma. The vibroacoustic therapy. So
that's awesome. We could do something similar like that again.
Yeah. So I did a raffle for them. And it was cool because they put my name in a book, and I was part of something bigger than myself.
Yeah, they did a lot for me. The whole reason why I had a lot of dental healing because of them from my assault that I experienced. So they took care of me. They hooked me up with if anybody goes to Nashua, cosmetic dentistry off of Trafalgar Square, Dr. Judith Wickham does fabulous work with women who have been abused. And if they need any kind of dental care, sometimes Bridges will hook them up. Yeah. So I've been meaning to write. It's been 10 years now. So I've been meaning to write Dr. Judith Wickham a letter of thank you because
Well,
now I can sing with a nice confidence. Plug. Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to wrap up this episode. And, if anyone has topics that they want us to touch on, feel free to reach out to either Kate or I through social media.
We can get you in touch with resources.
Yeah. If you feel you could offer something to the podcast and you want to be a special guest, again, reach out to either Kate or I. You can find us at mysticmarketnh.com.
Prayersofnature.com. Social media platforms, pretty much Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah. All the things. You can find us very easily. Get in contact with us. Her studio is in Wilton on 33 Howard Street. I'm on 188 Elm Street in Milford, New Hampshire. So
what is it you say to the women when you leave? And what is it? Hello, sister. Goodbye, sister. What is it? What do you say? We see you, sister.
What?
During your women's circle.
We see you, sister, and we support you.
There you go.
So until next time, we see you, sisters.
And we support you.
Live, love, and magic. Bye.